live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the 9 p.m. news telecast of the prestigious channel of Sri Lanka. I'm Charita Vinupurarachi.
And I'm Situmi Jaratna, and now let's take a look at today's headlines.
Compensation for totally damaged houses due to the disaster and construction of new houses to commence on the 9th of this month. Low pressure zone in Bay of Bengal to develop into a deep depression, Greece in rainy weather from tomorrow. An initial investigation regarding the module under question in new educational reforms. An agreement signed between Sri Lanka and Germany on debt restructuring. Ports Authority donates a sum of 5 billion rupees to the Consolidated Fund. USA to consider the option of annexing Greenland.
Now let's take a look at those stories and more in detail. President Anurakkumara Dissanayake says that paying compensation for the houses totally damaged by the disaster and the program to construct new houses will begin on the 9th of this month from Anuradhapura and Kurunegala.
The President revealed this fact addressing a meeting held in Parliament today. The second meeting of the Advisory Committee of the Ministry of Finance, Policy Planning and Economic Affairs was held under the patronage of President Anurakkumara Dissanayake. Special attention was focused on the current situation of the government relief program for the people affected by the cyclone Ditwa. They also discussed the program implemented on resettlement and paying compensation for crop damages. The President stated that the Agricultural Department and Agrarian Service Department was instructed to accelerate relevant payment of compensation based on genuine statistics by collecting correct data. In addition, the President pointed out the need to enlighten the business community on a mechanism of registering their business ventures and their benefits. President Anurakkumara Dissanayake said that in areas affected by such massive floods, there are residents who have been severely displaced. For those who own land, whether it is the original site of their damaged home or another plot, the government will provide 5 million rupees in 3 stages, distributed as 2 million, 1.5 million and 1.5 million respectively, to enable them to rebuild the house. This house project is scheduled to commence on the 9th of this month for Anuradhapura and Kurunegala districts. Alternatively, if a victim identifies an existing house they wish to buy, the government will provide the same 5 million rupees to facilitate their purchase. In a third category, for those whose land has been deemed unfit for residence and who cannot purchase a home on their own, the government will provide a plot of land. These individuals can then choose to build their own home with the 5 million rupee grant, or the government will construct a house valued at that amount for them. Current reports indicate that nearly 120,000 houses have sustained damages of varying degrees. Because a house-by-house appraisal would be an incredibly time-consuming process, the government has decided to provide an immediate payment of 500,000 rupees without a formal assessment. However, if any individual feels their losses exceeding this amount, they may decline the flat payment and request a formal appraisal, through which the government has decided to pay compensation up to a maximum of 2.5 billion rupees. The government does not face a specific challenge regarding unauthorized settlers, providing them with the standard 500,000 rupees payment could unintentionally stabilize those high-risk settlements, which is not appropriate. Therefore, the government is currently drafting a separate specialized proposal for the residents. Beyond disaster relief, the Housing Authority has developed a plan to construct 18,000 new houses this year. This includes a Home for Your Own project, which the government has allocated funds for 10,000 houses. Furthermore, despite the war ending in 2009, many in conflict-affected areas are still without proper housing. The government has planned to provide 2,500 houses for them this year, with an allocation of 2 million rupees per home. President said that he believes this as the comprehensive plan addresses both the immediate needs of those affected by disaster and the broader long-standing housing issues in the country.
President Anurukumara Dissanayake stressed that it is the responsibility of all to work towards saving the future generation of the country by eliminating the narcotic drug menace. It has become a national disaster at present. The President made these remarks joining the third session of the Nation United National Operational Council, which has been established to eliminate narcotics. The third session of the Nation United National Operational Council was held yesterday at the President's office with the participation of Mahasangha of 3 chapters and other religious dignitaries. Preventive programs have been implemented with the aim of disrupting drugs supply chain, expanding raids, rehabilitation of drug addicts and preventing the use of drugs. The national operation titled Quit Country Together has been implemented under the theme of a country free of narcotics and a joyful tomorrow, targeting the total elimination of narcotics with multi-access and empowering the community against narcotics. This is active as a joint national front with the government, security forces, civil organizations and citizens to unleash a huge social impact and pressure against drug dealers and distributors.
The low pressure area in the Bay of Bengal to the southeast of Sri Lanka has intensified into a depression, and it is centered near latitude 4.9 degrees north and longitude 87.4 degrees east, about 700 kilometers southeast of Pothuil at 11:30 am today, the 7th. The system is expected to move west-northwards towards the east coast of the island. It is very likely to intensify further into a deep depression during the next 24 hours. The Landslide Early Warning Center of the National Building and Research Organization has issued landslide early warnings to the district of Badulla, Kandy, Matale, Monaragala and Nuwara Eliya for a period of 24 hours effective from 12 noon today. Let's look at the weather update and more local stories this evening. A preliminary investigation has been started regarding the controversial module of new educational reforms. In response to a question raised by parliamentarian Nisham Karyapra, Prime Minister Dr. Haruni Amarasuriya said that the former Secretary Ranjit Anuratna has been appointed for this purpose.
Was there an issue regarding a grade 6 English language module? Why did that happen?
Affirms its commitment to internationally accepted child protection and data privacy standards. In the education sector, the Ministry of Education generally refrains from collecting students' personal data, limiting it to emergency contact. The essential details such as parents or guardians' names, students' parents' bank details, national identity card numbers, and mobile numbers are gathered, strictly confined to beneficiaries. The Ministry prioritizes privacy handling such data confidentially in alignment with local and international protocols, particularly with provisions of the Personal Data Protection Act No. 9 of 2022. Any sharing of student information with third parties for the child's betterment requires explicit written parental consent, with all processors maintaining utmost confidentiality to safeguard vulnerable groups. The reading for specific information in this context. Since the students are not given any instruction to share their personal information, there is no room for violation of the policy regarding the privacy of children.
Yeah, I have two supplementary questions. Yeah. My first supplementary question, thank you very much for the answers given by Honorable Prime Minister. Quite contrary to what your has, I find, according to the module that had been given, information such as the height, the weight of the students are specified. And it's not only this particular page, Honorable Prime Minister, the entire module contains a system by which three students from three different countries interacting through, I'm not talking about the controversial.
Given the controversy about this lesson and our assessment also that it is inappropriate, immediately after it came to our knowledge, this particular module was sealed and not delivered to the children.
Safety and digital well-being of the Educational Digitalization Task Force for grades 6 to 13 was held under the patronage of Prime Minister yesterday. The Prime Minister directed the team to prepare a set of guidelines for the officials who are responsible for preparing the textbooks and reviewing on the fields of online and cyber safety and digital well-being.
Meanwhile, an agreement has been signed today between the German Federal Republic and Sri Lanka to restructure debt in accordance with the process of restructuring foreign debt at the Ministry of Finance. The German Federal Republic has agreed to provide a concessionary loan step through restructuring loan areas after bilateral negotiation and with the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Official Debtors Committee. Under this, the estimated restructured amount of loan has been 188 million euros. This step has been considered for the strengthening and developing long-standing relations between the two countries. Harshana Surya Perumal, Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development on behalf of the Government of Sri Lanka, and Sarah Hazelberth on behalf of the German Federal Republic signed for the agreement.
The Sri Lanka Ports Authority has donated a sum of 5 billion rupees to the Government Consolidated Fund. The cheque was handed over at the Ministry of Finance today. The cheque was handed over to the Minister Anura Karunatilaka, Chairman of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, Admiral S.S. Ranasinghe, Deputy Minister Anil Janta, and Secretary to the Ministry of Finance Harshana Surya Perumal. The Sri Lanka Ports Authority has donated a sum of 2 billion rupees on a previous occasion, and the remaining 3 billion rupees was handed over today. The Sri Lanka Ports Authority added that a sum of this much could be donated to the Consolidated Fund due to the proper management of the profit of the institution. Sri Lanka Ports Authority has earned a net profit of 44,110 million rupees by the 30th of November 2025.
Rebuilding Sri Lanka project is being continued in order to restore the life and affected areas destroyed due to the cyclone Ditwa. Mahabodhi Foundation of India recently donated 10 million rupees to the fund. The cheque was handed over to the President Secretary Dr. Nandika Sanat Kumar Nayaka by the local representatives of the foundation, President of the Anagarika Dharmapala Trust, Sudhammika Heva Vitarana, and Amita Vijayasila. Sri Lanka Police also donated a sum of 50 million rupees to the fund. Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security Ravi Semiratna and IGP Attorney at Law Priyantha Vijayasuriya handed over the cheque to the President Secretary yesterday. Officers of the Sri Lanka Police have voluntarily donated the money from their salary to the Rebuilding Sri Lanka Fund. John Keells Holding and other companies have donated a sum of 400 million rupees to the Rebuilding Sri Lanka Fund. Chairman of the John Keells Holding and several others were present at the handing over of the cheque. The Mahagiri Dabba area along the Hatton Siripada Road, which was damaged by the disaster, has been fully reconstructed by the Sri Lanka Army. The road area is now open again for the Sripada pilgrims, and new safety fence has also been erected. The National Digital Motor Vehicle Insurance Card was introduced today by Sri Lanka Insurance Regulatory Commission and its affiliated insurance companies. The program is being implemented with the objective of modernizing and digitalizing the insurance sector of this country. It was conducted at the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs under the guidance of Minister Ananda Vijaypala. Accordingly, a digital format has been introduced instead of traditional physical and plastic motor vehicle cards in use till date. Owners of insurance deeds will be able to access insurance information safely via smart mobile phones at any time from any location. The objective of the introduction of these digital motor vehicle insurance card is to provide extensive benefits nationally.
And let's move on to some more local news items in brief. Two suspects who have been detained with regard to the abetting and providing accommodation to the main suspect of Ganepula Sanjeeva's killing, Ishara Sevandi, has been remanded until the 9th of this month. This order was issued by the Colombo Magistrate Court, where the two suspects who were kept in detention for 90 days were produced before the courts today by the Colombo Crimes Division. A 24-year-old suspect has been taken into custody with about 7 kilograms of Kush narcotics in his possession. He was arrested by the officials of the anti-narcotics unit of the airport customs. The stock of Kush narcotics has a market value of 70 million rupees, and the suspect is identified as a resident in Ma Elia in area in Jayala. The Indian Army Commander General Upendra Dwivedi arrived in the island yesterday with the aim of strengthening bilateral defence cooperation between India and Sri Lanka. He was welcomed by Chief of Army Staff Major General D.S.K. Dage and Indian Deputy High Commissioner Dr. Satyanjal Pandey. The Indian Army Commander is scheduled to hold talks with senior army officials and public officials. A light aircraft belonging to seaplane category has met with an accident reported while landing in the Gregory Lake in Nuwara. It is reported that the two pilots have been hospitalized, and the accident occurred at about 12:30 noon today. And police say that the accident occurred with a light traffic aircraft about to land on the Gregory Lake to carry a group of tourists. A set of boat riders of the Gregory Lake have rescued the two pilots and later hospitalized them.
According to doctors, more than 1,200 women fall victims to cervical cancer every year in this country. They added that cervical cancer can be prevented and can also be cured by early identification and proper treatment.
Consultant physician Dr. Ruan Silva at the outset explained the diagnostic methods available for identifying cervical cancer. He highlighted that the HPV DNA test and PAP smears are effective tools for detecting precancerous conditions. He emphasized that if a suspicious lesion is found, a biopsy followed by histological examination can confirm the presence of cancer. He also noted that if the disease spreads to other organs, patients might experience severe back pain, persistent leg pain, swelling of the legs, significant weight loss, and loss of appetite. Consultant physician Dr. Kalum Jasinger clarified that cervical cancer does not only affect older women, and it frequently impacts women in their younger, more productive years. He explained that it can take 15 to 20 years for the virus to develop into cancer, during which there are 3 distinct precancerous stages that can be detected through screening. His primary concern was that many women do not come forward for these tests. He stressed that if the cancer is identified in the early stages, it can be completely cured through surgery. Consultant physician Dr. Nadija Herath focused on the accessibility of healthcare, and she stated that free screening services are provided throughout 361 Suvanari clinics operating island-wide, and she encouraged women to utilize these centers for regular checkups at no cost. Consultant physician Dr. Mahilal Vijayakon discussed the long-term prevention strategy through the HPV vaccination program. He expressed that optimism that based on current vaccination trends, the number of cervical cancer cases could be decreased by 60 to 75% over the next 25 to 25 years. And meanwhile, Sri Lanka Institute of Development Administration on their Pioneer Institute in Capacity Development on Public Sector in Sri Lanka has organized a high-level forum titled Bridging the Gap, Public Sector Leadership for Inclusive Growth. The initiative aims to highlight the critical role of leadership and human capital development in advancing inclusive growth across the public sector. The event was be held tomorrow from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at Waters Edge, Batharamulla. This forum will be graced with the presence of high-level state sector officials, including the Secretary to the President, Secretary to the Prime Minister, and Secretaries to all ministries.
Sri Lanka's Colombo Stock Exchange announced it was cancelling all trades today due to an unusual opening prices in newly listed companies. According to the CSE, in consultation with the Securities and Exchange Commission, it has decided to close the market for the day, and Colombo Stock Exchange further said that the trading will resume from tomorrow as usual. We'll be back with news overseas after a short break.
Welcome back with international stories. And Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez has rejected any suggestion of foreign control over the country, insisting that Venezuela remains under constitutional governance following the capture of former leader Nicolas Maduro. And her remarks came amidst highlighting political and diplomatic tensions after Washington confirmed ability to operation of Venezuelan territory earlier this month.
Luego de la terrible agresión militar.
Speaking in a national televised address, acting President Delcy Rodriguez declared that Venezuela is governed solely by its own constitutional authorities, dismissing claims of external influence. She said the country's institutions and popular power remain intact and warned unnamed figures against issuing threats, stating that her fate is determined by God alone. Rodriguez also called on Venezuelans to remain united, urging citizens to work together throughout 2026 to fulfill what she described as the nation's duty. Rodriguez assumed the role of acting president on January 4th after former leader Nicolas Maduro was captured during US military operation. The government says her appointment was made under a state of national emergency to ensure institutional continuity amid escalating political, military and diplomatic tensions.
Justo en este instante están las mujeres.
Foreign media reports that US President Donald Trump and his advisors are actively discussing options to acquire Greenland, with the White House saying the use of the US military is always an option in pursuing the goal. Officials describe control of the strategically located Arctic island as a national security priority to counter Russian and Chinese influence in the region. Options under review include a possible purchase or other agreements, although Greenland and Denmark have reiterated that the island is not for sale. European leaders and NATO allies have strongly opposed any military actions, emphasizing Greenland's rights to self-determination. Despite international pushback, the administration says diplomacy remains the preferred route, but all alternatives are being considered.
Moving to Indonesia, and Indonesia's Tamiang region is the beginning of long and a difficult recovery after a catastrophic flooding left widespread destruction in its wake. The disaster, described as the worst in the area's history, displaced tens of thousands of people and caused extensive damage to homes, schools and businesses across the province. A massive cleanup operation is now underway in Tamiang as the heavy machinery clear thick mud and debris from roads and public spaces following months of severe flooding. Local businesses are slowly reopening while students have returned to their schools with the support of humanitarian aid groups providing essential supplies to affected families. Indonesia's National Board of Zakat Binzas says they're distributing school assistance across the multiple provinces, including Tamiang, with plans to expand support if needed. The floods displaced around 115,000 people, making Tamiang the second worst affected area in the province. Authorities say that 300,000 residents were impacted, with entire villages left in ruins. At least 52 people were confirmed dead, while dozens more remain missing as recovery efforts continue.
Moving on to more foreign news, Mexico's historic city of Puebla has entered the Guinness World Record after unveiling the world's longest rosca de reyes, a traditional three-king bread stretching nearly 6 kilometers. The massive creation was presented during a festive public celebration marking the Epiphany, drawing thousands to the city's main square.
Hundreds of residents and visitors gathered in Puebla's central square as the city officially revealed the record-breaking rosca de reyes. The traditional sweet bread associated with the visit of the three wise men to the baby Jesus measured close to 6 kilometers in length and was made up of more than 19,000 individual pieces, each around 30 centimeters long. Guinness World Records adjudicator Andres Rojas Toledo confirmed the achievement, declaring Puebla the holder of the world record for the largest rosca de reyes. Local bakers prepared the giant bread with ingredients supplied by the major food distributor, while city officials, including Puebla's mayor, praised the collective effort behind the historic feat. In Mexico, the Rosca de Reyes traditionally contain small figures of the baby Jesus. Those who find them are expected to host celebrations on Candlemas Day, February 2nd. Puebla's record-breaking Rosca turned a centuries-old tradition into a moment of global recognition.
Welcome back with your sports update. And the first T20 match between Sri Lanka and Pakistan is now in progress at the Dambulla International Cricket Stadium. Chasing a victory target of 129 runs, Pakistan were 62 runs with the loss of 1 wicket in 6.5 overs when the last reports came in. Winning the toss, Pakistan asked Sri Lanka to bat first, and Pathop Nishankar and Kamil Mishara opened the innings. Janit Lenegi, top scorer with 40 runs in bowling. Abrar Ahmed and Salman Mizra scored 3 wickets each.
Close, that is close, and given.
Now, according to the foreign media reports, the International Cricket Council has not taken steps to change the venues of the matches participating Bangladesh in the T20 World Cup cricket tournament. No security risk has been identified around the stadiums where the concerned matches to be played, the media added. The T20 World Cup cricket tournament will be held from 7th of February to 8th of March in Sri Lanka and India with the participation of 20 teams. Bangladesh is due to play from Group C in the primary round, and they are due to play against the West Indies on the 7th, against Italy on the 9th and against England on the 14th of next month. The matches are planned to be played at the Eden Garden in Kolkata. The final match of Bangladesh in the primary round is to be played at Wankhede Cricket Stadium, Mumbai on the 17th February against Nepal. Bangladesh refused to travel to India for the World Cricket Cup tournament after the removal of their cricketer Mustafizur Rahman from the Indian Premier League cricket tournament. They have mentioned that since a player of their country cannot play in India despite having a valid contract, it is unsafe to travel to India to play in the World Cup. Bangladesh requested the International Cricket Council to take steps to shift all their matches to Sri Lanka, although the ICC has not taken any positive steps regarding the change of venues so far. According to the International Cricket Council, and the final decision in this regard will be taken before the 10th of January.
With that sports update, we'll be wrapping up tonight news, which is tomorrow at the very same time. And I'm Charita, signing with Situmi. Stay safe and good night.